We're gonna head out. We're just checking out one of our newer mock scrapes, but man, it's been a journey. Start thinking it's been, I think, since 2004 up in the UP of Michigan. I started using jack pine branches for mock scrapes, and it was pretty cool because the deer would start hitting them pretty soon, July, August, and I'd keep an inventory of bucks back then, and it just seemed a natural progression when I was on client properties that the most used scrape in the woods was a vine scrape. And so we're gonna drive out to this one. We're driving right out onto a little food plot here. The cool thing about it is this year I could really care less about coming out on the property. We're not spooking anything. It's early April, and you know, the deer will forgive us. They're a lot of times back in the woods back here anyways, so really could care less. We're out on the property all over. We enjoy our property, and we shoot the biggest bucks in the neighborhood about 80% of the time. So it's not like we spook these bucks away. They shouldn't really be here that much during the summertime either. So we're gonna go check out this scrape. I wanted to talk about some things that we've learned over the last 20 years, but it has been a 20-year journey. And I'm gonna talk about some of the specifics of not only how to make this scrape and some of the basics, but how we utilize it within our property and where we place them. So let's check this one out. Now, we talk about this spot all the time. It's a spot where I shot Bo, a 6-year-old buck that I was after a couple years ago. So it's near and dear to my heart. It's we've had some good encounters here in this little plot in general. It's one of our favorites. So, you know, there's a lot of good stuff for that reason. But this is one of our newest mock scrapes. We had a video on detailing how we did this. But really, our mock scrapes center around this vine right here and hanging it from something. That something this year is a cut cherry stump. We fully expect this to explode in growth and create a bush, a living bush up there to make this appear more natural. We really like that because, you know, it's not terrible, but I don't like anything wood. I don't like anything unnatural. So people have used 2x4s, cedar posts, things like that. We like our cedars that we'll cut and transplant. But when you have a live stump like that, I'd rather use this. And you can see how, in this case right here, I just took one of the logs, cut it flush, lag bolted it in. It's very, very sturdy. Put an eye hook up there, just screwed it in, and then we have this mock scrape. First of all, about waist high. Second, as level as you can get it. Right on top of this cherry, it levels out. So I would prefer that the vine is about 5 feet away. I would say this is more like 4.5. But you want that so that buck can turn all the way around, play with it. About waist high is perfect because we have a lot of fawns hitting it. Dylan, I'll challenge you.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
What are you going for?
Yeah, what am I going for?
The dancing fawns from like...
The dancing fawns. So you're looking at that right now then, right? So that one was 2016. And it was, we put that on, I believe, July 3rd, and I think that video is on July 6th. So we made that video. You'd been working with me for 2 months, I think, at that point. Yep. Was it May of 2016?
Yep. You know, it's funny, like 2016, I feel like it's finally starting to feel like a long time ago. It always used to be like, oh, that was just yesterday, that was just yesterday. Yeah. Now we've been working together so long, it's like, dang, dude, we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, that's, when you think about it, I mean, 9 years, but that's basically, this is our 10th season together.
Wild. Which
is crazy. But I've been using these practices for a long time. You know, if you see other people using a vine, it's because they copied anything we do. They copied it. And so these are things like, we'll look back, these video that with the dancing fawns, that's from 9 years ago. I think it was what, like a 30-second video. And we have dancing, if you look up dancing fawns at mock scrape, you'll find dancing fawns mock scrape. You just search for it on YouTube, you'll find that, it'll pop up. But bottom line is, we want the fawns to leave their scent here. I could really care less about touching this. If you have someone telling you need rubber gloves and everything, who cares? Those deer will leave their preorbital gland scent here, and what we find within a day, sometimes 2 hours, they're hitting it. We touched this vine the day we used it, and we had them less than 23 hours. We have a camera right over there. We're always gonna pick a spot that you can put a camera, and I like that camera facing north. I have a couple options for trees down there. I like that one because it's a split tree and the side profile is hidden. The trunk is barely wider than the camera. That's a good thing. I'd rather it be a little bit higher, but when you're looking at an elevation change like this and the camera is looking down, you'd rather be a little bit lower. You get more of this in between. Bottom line is we raked this out. Jen and I played around and kicked it, and I'll come in here and kick. This part right here, for about 11 months out of the year, they really don't paw this too much. This to me is more of a calling card of the scrape, the fresh earth that's sent up. We sometimes urinate in it to start it, to rough it up. And sometimes people say, you know, I haven't had a scrape, you know, active at that spot the last couple of years. But if you go in and you take a rake or shovel, in this case, we have our thick clover, our perennial plot power from Pure Wildlife Blends. You have to cut through it because it's so viney and thick. So bottom line is we rough this up, but they're not using this as a base for about 11 months out of the year. They do that during the rut. However, they are working this and leaving their preorbital gland scent on at 365. So think about that when it comes to fawns. You want this low enough, that's why it's waist high. You want it low enough that fawns can participate in it too. Does, fawns, and bucks will hit this. We had a really cool survey that we did where we watched a red cedar post that they love to rub, and then we had a mock vine scrape over here, and then we had a camera on it back here. We watched that for 60 days over on the other side on a big food plot over there. The red cedar was hit like crazy. It looked like it was just rubbed up by dozens of bucks. Over 60 days, we had 22 unique hits on that rub. Of course, all bucks. They came in rubbed, all different sizes and ages. It wasn't one or the other. However, we went to the mock scrape just 6 or 8 feet away from the rub. The mock scrape was hit 210 times. 1/3 by fawns, 1/3 by does, and 1/3 of the time by bucks. Unique hits. Jen tediously went through and looked at all the pictures and videos and tallied them all up for unique hits of deer. Bottom line is they love these scrapes. Put a mock rub out in a food plot. You could probably put, and I even had a client this week, Dylan, this is a new one, the fiberglass survey rods out in a plot that they use for yardage markers at 20 and 30 yards. He had bucks coming in and leaving and trying to rub the fiberglass rod. Multiple too. So no, I'm not suggesting you put fiberglass rods out there. The point is that rubs, they'll just rub out in a field because they're here. We want these bucks because we have a stand location right there. So talk about real quick, 3/4 inch to 1 inch fine. We're real picky on that because if it's thinner than that, they break it. Not that they won't use it. If it's bigger than that, they seem intimidated by it. I want this hanging. I do not want it tied directly to something so it's stiff, because then the bucks, when they hit it and push it, they can break it. I want it swinging. I want the vine to go almost all the way up to where we tied it. So if that pivot point up there where we hang it was another 3 feet taller, I'd have a vine that was 3 feet longer. I hope that makes sense. I'll go to some properties, there's a 2-foot vine. It's like they're trying to conserve vines. And then there's rope for 6 feet. Well, that just swinging vine looks really unnatural. When you have something that goes directly up to that pivot point, that's the most natural. Hope that makes sense. Plus, then it's rigid. A rope is kind of a fad. You know why people use ropes? Because they don't want to use a vine and admit that they got that idea from somewhere else. Ropes are lightweight. They'll blow around a lot more. They'll set your camera off. And when a deer pushes against that, there's not a lot of rigidity for them to leave their preorbital gland scent. So we find that something natural will outperform ropes every single time. And so if I could sell a rope and I thought and I believed in it, you can bet I would sell it. We don't, because this is natural, it's best, and that's why I use this. So something natural. If in your area you don't have vines, you can bring them. I've had areas up north where they don't have vines, people bring vines too. Jack pine branches going back 20 years work outstanding because it's something natural that they rub and that they scrape under, and they really, really last. Now, all that being said, I don't think I'm missing anything with the strategy of how we're building this and what's worked the best over the last 2 decades, or the last 20 years we've been doing this. But when we go to a stand location, we pick 3 things. Doesn't matter if it's a little hunting plot like this, you know, the great stand location right back there in that red cedar. Doesn't matter if it's a stand location like that, a blind, whatever it is, but we pick the mock scrape location within shot, bow shot, and we pick a camera location. Doesn't mean we add a camera at every location, but it does mean we add a mock scrape at every location. And that's the first thing we did on this property in 2020. You know, 5 years ago, Dylan and I were out here turkey hunting, and we started making some mock scrapes before we did anything on the land. We hadn't done anything. The first things we did were at stand locations. We put mock scrapes, put cameras on them, because during the summer, if a buck comes through, we're going to see that buck, and it helps us get inventory during the summertime, no different than it did 20 years ago in the UP in Michigan. I like putting cameras at stand locations as opposed to all the deer going out in a certain spot in the field. We put a camera out there. I'd rather add our stand locations. We want to see how they're reacting all year long. And I don't want to add a camera out here in September. I want it just out here. It's seeing the progression of what's going on. We get to see our food plot come up. You can see all the little clovers coming up right now, and the chicory that's in this blend. It's just starting to perk up, so that's pretty cool. We're going to see turkeys going through here too. So the strategy of every mock scrape, and that really hasn't changed throughout the years, is I want a mock scrape at every stand location, no more, no less. This scrape is not bringing more bucks to the property, and if we put 200 out here, it wouldn't bring more bucks to the property, just dilute the value of one. No different than if we had 100 water holes out here. Then the value of the 10 we should have is greatly diluted, so why would they come in front of that stand location versus the 9 other spots that we have that aren't in front of stand locations? So the mock scrapes are important for directing traffic, not bringing more bucks into the property. So that's why I really like this in this location. And when a buck comes in, we've had them from distance over here. Do you remember the one that we had a long time ago? He was a big wide 10-4, or is it 10-4? 7-4. 7-4, because we first saw him on July 4th. But we had a red cedar out here with a mock scrape right back here. We had a camera back behind us, and he was coming in. I'm not going to challenge you to find this one, Dylan.
Yeah, that one's gone.
And so he was coming in from over there in the dark. We'd never had him before. He came in directly looking at this scrape that was over here in the dark. And what was cool about that is if there was a hunter in the stand, he was not paying attention. And if there was a camera nearby, which there was, he wasn't looking at the camera. They come in looking directly at this, they rough it up, and then they head through. Great opportunity to put a younger hunter in that stand, someone who might be show a little bit of movement, have a chance of spooking a deer, and making sure they can get a shot off. So defines movement, helps you out in the stands, and it gives you a great glimpse of what's going on at a specific stand location, and very easy to build. And again, we tried to make this one, we're trying to make it look as natural as possible. This, again, when we cut this in the spring like that, this stump is alive, this tree is alive. We just cut it up, and you can imagine there's a lot of power right here that's going to explode and growth out this tip right here and surround this in a big giant bush, and that'll be pretty cool. And it's high enough up, it's about 6 feet, 6.5 feet, maybe 7, but it's high enough up where the deer can't eat the browse, so they're going to just explode. We'll have branches coming up all over the place from this, and it'll look a lot more natural, and that's pretty cool too. So I hope that makes sense. We've learned a lot throughout the years. Dylan, I'm going to ask you, can you think of anything I'm missing with
within 25 to 30 yards of your stand location?
Yeah, always within bow shot. It's such a shame to put it off to the side. No different than water holes. If you can't shoot to it with a bow shot, then you're really missing out with a water hole. So we at our water holes have bow shots on all of them, and bow stands or blinds, because if you have a water hole that you can't bow hunt over, or just a water hole in general, even a pond or something, what a waste, because you're going to draw deer away from your stand locations or blind locations, no different than a mock scrape. So good addition, Dylan, I appreciate it. But 20 years of mock scrape, we've learned a lot. And the thing is, most of it's been consistent over the last 18 to 20 years, because what works, and we've seen tens of thousands on properties, a lot of ropes that don't work. And I've seen over 500 rope scrapes on just one 200-acre property alone. So you can imagine all the scrapes you've seen, all the varieties, what works, what doesn't. But this is what's worked the best for us. If you can take that to the bank, and we enjoy them, I know you will too. Hey, by the way, our Kicking Bear charity event's coming up. We give every dime to Kicking Bear. It's a great organization that gets youth, gets a bow in their hand, gets them out in the outdoors. They have chapters all over the country, We have a charity event to raise money so they can put on events. They have up to 800 kids at a time at their events. It's on Father's Day weekend. It's a Habitat Day. We charge for that $250. We also have a $100 hunt raffle times 100 people. We give every dime and then some to Kicking Bear on that day. It starts at 10 a.m. The sign up for that, the details will be in the description. You just contact Jessi for that. It's an all-day event. You can bring your kids for free. We've had up to 43 kids. Kicking Bears here helping them tug of war, water balloon fights, and a lot of fun. We provide lunch, some breakfast. It's a great time. I love meeting you. There's limited space for that. And again, every dime goes to Kicking Bear. And believe it or not, in the 4 years, we've given over $80,000 to Kicking Bear. So in this, our 5th year, we expect to surpass $100,000 donated from this event at our house here in Minnesota to Kicking Bear. And you know, it's a great event. It's a way for us to give back, and appreciate you guys. Everyone that's come throughout the years. We have some that come every single year. We have a lot of volunteers for that. So it's a great time, and I hope to see you there.